Hi, I'm Mitch from Colton Computers. Today I've got Joe back and we're going to follow on from last week's conversation about Microsoft's new commerce experience, and we're going to be talking about managed services and why they're a good thing in the future. Joe from Manson Medical.
So Mitch, what really does managed services mean, and why can't I just call you guys when something isn't working?
Managed services is really about standardizing IT. It's got a whole lot of good things. It's good. We really like managed services. That's funnily enough why we're a managed services provider. The irony is no one outside of our industry knows what a managed service provider is. It's about proactive IT support. The best way to describe it to start with is you have a PowerPoint that stops working in your practice. You ring the electrician. The electrician comes, they fix the PowerPoint, they test that it works, they send you a bill. That's the end of the engagement. There's no ongoing responsibility. There's no ongoing proactive maintenance. It's really not necessary because the PowerPoint works until the day it doesn't work. However, your computers need updating and patching and maintaining, and backups need monitoring. And there's so many things because they're a very complex system that, you know, especially for you being in medical, it's super, super critical to your business. And because of that, we want to make sure that they're maintained all the time. Traditionally, and in our industry, we call it break fix, that electrician mentality, is that I only make money when you have pain. If you have something that doesn't work, like let's say your server goes down and you've got 4 doctors that can't do clinical work, that's costing you a lot of money, causing you a lot of pain and a lot of frustration. I come in and fix it. It takes me 2 days to fix it. I make good money for 2 days, but you have a lot of pain. So, you know, and traditionally we want to, and we really do, we want IT to be really good and we want clients to have really good IT experiences. You're really happy because all of your stuff works. It also allows us to do a whole lot of really good proactive things, and we're rewarded for standardizing our stack. So we use the same set of 10 products across all our clients. All of our techs know them backwards. We have really good vendor relationships. And all of this stuff at the end of the day means you get a better IT experience at a fixed price, and it's just good. I've dragged Aaron Blowes down here from Blowes Clothing to ask me some questions about managed services.
Solely nowadays, we have to be online all the time. So our point of sale has to be working, our internet has to be working, all the back end has to be working. That you know, if that goes down, it is, you know, disastrous if it's for any period of time. So it just can't happen. So you just have to have.
And it's really interesting, Aaron, that you mentioned that, because we find a lot of businesses, and not just in the retail space and hospitality, but across the board, they haven't got that appreciation that it is so important, and it's sort of a resentful, I hate that I'm so reliant on my computer.
Yeah.
But they don't get it to be proactive, and that's obviously my whole managed services bet, is that don't wait for it to blow up.
That's right.
And you have to lose a day of trade. And it's really interesting because I have a lot of conversations with people about how you know, they're like, oh, that looks expensive, and it's sort of, there's part of managed services that's insurance, in that if you spend a known quantity of money now and you spend a known quantity of money on a regular basis, you don't lose a day's trade, you don't lose half a day, none of that, the bad stuff doesn't happen, and it doesn't worry you. And getting people to understand that, you know, proactive support and managed services is for all businesses, and it's not just something that, you know, the big nationals have. It's not something that the big accounting firms have. It adds a lot of value to all businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you nailed it by saying it's like an insurance policy. It's just, it's there, and you know it's looked after, and it is that peace of mind.
And it also, have you found that it also helps from a budgeting point of view, because it just turns into a flat monthly fee?
Absolutely, yeah. On the cash flow, it just sits there as the number. So how is my business safer under managed services?
It comes down to responsibility and accountability, because there are so many variables. A lot of cloud stuff, especially now, is talking about a shared responsibility model where, you know, in the case of your business, Aaron, you use Retail Express. You know, you having users within Retail Express who has access to what parts of the system, that's your part of the responsibility. As far as making sure that, you know, a malicious third-party actor can't get into your computers or your system, that's our problem. And because you're in managed services, it becomes a very clearly defined responsibility we CCT look after making sure the computers are patched, up to date, backed up, all of your data's safe, we know where it is. Your responsibility is making sure that the access that you give to staff and trusted third parties is accurate and correct. And it just takes a lot of ambiguity out of that whole process, because you know what we're responsible for and we know what you're responsible for. A lot of the problems when people aren't in managed services is that there's a lot of assumed responsibility. The client or the business just assumes that IT deals with that, whether or not IT has any knowledge of it or any responsibility whatsoever.
So it sounds like having the managed services is part of actually a teamwork approach to keeping our businesses running, but you're part of the team making sure that that happens.
Oh, 100%. And it truly allows us to look at things at a holistic level. So if we talk about the Log4j vulnerability that came out just over Christmas, they're basically a really common component in Java, which is used on a whole lot of systems across the world. There was a vulnerability found in it that existed in a whole lot of places. What we were able to do for all our managed services clients was we were able to run a vulnerability scan across all of our clients, because we use a standard stack across everything, and we were able to notify several clients that did have the vulnerability in some software they had, and then we're able to remediate that. And it was all done really before the dust had even settled and anyone had sort of started dealing with remediation. And that's a really good example of the really exciting things that you can do when you're in a managed services environment.
Okay, so things can be fixed before they actually break.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what managed services truly is all about. And that's what we get really excited about, is really boring, uneventful things. It's finding out that something has gone wrong on a server or a platform or a system or a cloud environment when it's a tiny little issue that no one's going to notice.
So look, before we get on to you being superheroes too much, does it make sense for small companies? Because I know a lot of people are concerned about the cost. So let's say it's a small business. Maybe there's, the owner and 2 part-time employees. Is it still worth having managed services, or have you got to be, bigger and larger and, big companies to make it worthwhile?
No, not at all, Joe. So especially with, and we'll get to this in a minute, Microsoft's cloud environment. So we're very much a Microsoft shop. So Office 365, Microsoft's now licensing under the new commerce experience, as we all learnt last week. If you're in a Microsoft ecosystem and you're a small business, whether you're landscaping, professional services, builder, whatever, doesn't matter. Your basic managed services plans are very, very cost effective, because you're getting an all-included level of support for a flat monthly fee, which realistically is a lot cheaper than what your ad hoc break fix price would be.
Okay.
And that sounded like a whole lot of jargon, and I apologise. Let's say you're on our cloud, like our Managed Business Advanced plan, which is our really popular, common managed services plan for smaller clients. And you have an employee and their Microsoft Word stops working, or they can't open a file out of OneDrive. They can just ring our help desk. You as the owner don't have to worry about the cost of that, because it's included and it's covered. So it frees you up to get on with doing the things you need to do, because you don't have to worry about your staff coming to you going, my computer doesn't work. You just turn around and say, ring the help desk. They'll fix it.
Okay.
So that's that side of it.
What about some of the additional services like, proactive education and support that you can provide through that?
Under all our managed services plans going forward, we're offering fishing training. So that's not we're teaching you how to go.
That sounds great fun.
Yeah, oh yeah, we go to the lake and we have fishing lessons. You've got to worry about bank accounts being compromised. You've got to worry about personally identifiable information being leaked. However, if we fish your staff, they get to do 2 minutes, 3 minute little training session on why they shouldn't have clicked the thing they just clicked. And some of our clients have turned it into a bit of an office game about who got fished, and they all have to talk about why they clicked on the thing they shouldn't have clicked on.
Okay, so you've gone from being superheroes to pretending to be hackers as a learning experience for
100%.
Businesses to learn what staff should and shouldn't be doing.
100%, Joe. And one of the big things is we can do a whole lot from a security point of view and a business continuity point of view. The thing that we can't do or can't deal with, and phishing certainly goes a long way towards dealing with this, is company culture towards IT security and the way that staff and business owners deal with passwords, information they share online, and all of those sort of things. And that's one thing that phishing training is really aimed at trying to lift that, because we can have the most secure system in the world, but if the financial controller insists on having a password that is bad password too, there's not a thing that we can do about it.
Maybe that's another session we can talk about humans being the weakest link in the
Oh,
IT
100%,
systems.
100%.
So what about Microsoft changes and managed services? What's the impact there?
As we talked about last week, Joe, realistically, we've always run 12-month managed services contracts. And we do that because when you onboard a new client, there's a lot of work to do to get them into our standard stack and make everything nice. And because of that, it's got to be a commitment that, we're going to do a bucket load of work to get your environment really schmick. And because of that, we seek a commitment of 12 months to make sure that we're not going to get everything really nice and then you're going to leave town on us. So Microsoft's moving everything to 12 months. Well, they're really strongly encouraging everyone to move to 12-month contracts. Because we include all of your Office 365 licensing in all our managed services plans, we're just going to be doing the same thing. So when you sign for your 12-month managed services plan, that's going to include all your Microsoft licensing, and that'll be covered in that.
Okay, so it sounds like it's a cost-effective but also a secure way to get your managed services sorted out.
Always, 100%.
Is there anything you want to add about, the importance of managed services in the, last 10 seconds?
Do it. It's really, really good. That's it. I love managed services. As you can see, I get very animated and excited about it, and it's a bit sad. But anyway.
Don't be sad. Get on the managed services. That's the key message.
100%. Thanks,
Fabulous.
Joe. Thanks, everyone.